Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to disrupt your tea break. I hope you're all back, a little awake, enjoying the beautiful sunshine in Jaipur. Are you? So, if you're awake, please give me a sense. There you are. Aha. Everybody here? Hello? There you are. There you are. There you are. Thank you so much. And everybody out there at the back is still settling in. I understand your reservations. I understand why you are hesitant to come back in here, because you're feeling a bit embarrassed, aren't you? I mean, what is this content economy thingy, right? So, let's see. How many of you don't understand what is this thingy called content economy? Please gleefully raise your hands. And that's everybody, isn't it? How many of you do understand what is the content economy? The only guy who raised his hand was the cameraman, because he had to adjust something. Okay, so I have a very interesting thing to tell you. I have been trying since the last 12 hours, literally like a stalker, talking to all the panelists here whom I'm going to introduce to you. And we are all shamelessly proud to tell you, so far none of us really knows what's the content economy. Okay? But we have come up with our own things, and what makes it intriguing is that it is a $100 billion industry. Now, where are these $100 billion going, and what industry is this, and what economy is this? Let's understand this, okay? So, let me explain before I cue everybody in to help you navigate these uncharted waters. What is content economy? A long time ago, years before you were born, the computer industry was born surprisingly through hardware. At that time, hardware was the big cost, the big expenditure. Hardware cost $1 million, right? And you know, software was part of support to help sell the hardware, all right? And the idea was that you put your data into this machine. Actually, they did not even know what software was, what the skill was. So, electronics engineers would double shift and try to grapple in writing what they knew as software. And sometimes they would get polymaths, sometimes they would get literature people, sometimes they would get mathematicians, until they realized that there is something known as the software industry. Now comes the most amazing thing. A time came when the cost of hardware plummeted. Hardware became commodity. At one time, only nations in World War II could afford a computer. Today, each one of you has a computer in your pocket, which is 100 times more powerful than the computers sold at World War II. Okay, but this is the cost of commodity. In the 1980s, you saw the rise of the software companies, especially Microsoft, even Oracle, SAP, and the others. We discovered that the cost of hardware was now, let's say, just 100,000 rupees or $10,000 approximately, but the cost of software could easily touch 100,000 rupees to 10,000 rupees to unimaginable figures, and you had these new SARS, right? Do you remember that time? Now, what has happened to the cost of software? Each one of you is carrying in your mobile software which is free. For example, how many of you have Instagram? Could you raise your hands, please? Anybody? But there. So, Photoshop used to cost maybe at one time $1,000, and the previous version of Photoshop was $10,000. Today, Instagram is free. We have a race to the bottom of the barrel in software. The cost of software is 0 or $1 or $3, right? What has become the most important tradable commodity thingy in the IT industry. It's your data, isn't it? When you lose your phone, do you cry for the phone that you lost, the hardware? Do you cry for the software apps that you had installed, or those dearly beloved photographs, music, SMSs, WhatsApp messages, and all the other things? So you realize that the true value of this entire experience is in your content. Content, my friends, is the new economy. Google's software is now free, isn't it? It's service. And what is it that Google is selling you? Content. Your content sold back to you. And how does Facebook make billions of dollars? With, by the way, your content, your photographs, your likes, your pokes, and all the other vulgar things that you would like to do on Facebook. All right? Ditto with Twitter. Twitter, as you know, is the graffiti wall of the world. The emperor has no clothes, you put that on Twitter. I have an important question to ask you. Who needs whom more? Does Twitter need Modi more, or does Modi need Twitter more? Think about it, and you will see the power of content, right? All the people on this dais are people today who are not interested in hardware, not even looking at software per se. Their business models are driven around content and experiences around content, and they don't even realize that we are at the cusp of a huge revolution which are toppling the economies of agriculture and even IT and moving into the world of content as the most priceless thing. Do you know why is Facebook free of cost to you? And why is it that Facebook paid $19 billion for a software that is given free to you? Until you realize that you, my friends, are the products. $19 billion for all your lolcats, all your naughty jokes on WhatsApp, all your funny and candid messages to your friends. That's a treasure trove of content, and as Zuckerberg says, he got a fantastic deal. It was just $19 billion. Do you realize what you're trading away? And you don't realize that you are sitting on content that is being sold, which is where, for example, our friend Akash comes in. He's helping people sell their content. So now that you know what is the content economy, here are some interesting figures of it. For instance, the industry was at only $17.85 billion in 2015, but by 2025 it's supposed to be $100 billion. It's growing at 11% per annum, and here are examples of what comes in the content industry, right? You buy your iPod, if you do today, for what? The smallest one is probably $7,000, but try to buy all the music of iTunes, and you'll discover that that might just cost you a fortune, and you cannot bequeath it to your children. They have to buy their own, right? Now, our friend here, Ravanan, is selling you e-books that you may read on your mobile, and one day you will not realize how he got you. Because what you will discover is that he has been able to sell you books that you always wanted to get, and you soon got a small growing library of 100, 200 books, and that you paid for them. And when you lose your phone, you're going to cry for your books because they were your books, right? And that's not all. There's much, much, much more to the content economy. There are people today who have YouTube channels, and the only thing they're sharing there are recipes, right? And imagine the money they're making out of this. They don't even own the software. Okay, so now, before I start this very interesting discussion in which you are all part of the economic revolution, Until this moment, you did not realize that as publishers, and forget as publishers, but as people, the power of publishing belongs to those who merely understand it. You are a consumer until the moment you understand that you cannot just read, you can also write. Once you become an author of anything, you discover that there are enough mechanisms in place for you to monetize your content, but you need to know what your content is. I hope that sort of makes you understand what is the content economy. Could you raise your hands a little bit if you get it? All right, thank you. Those of you who don't, I promise you a nice cup of coffee at the end of this talk. Maybe that will help. So who do we have here? I'll start with Ravanan. He is the Ravan with only one head right now. He started his career with Cafe Coffee Day, joined Airtel as a product manager, and handled different portfolios before joining Verse Innovation. At Verse, he successfully set up and established the hugely successful mobile classifieds business, also known as News Hunt. We have only 4, 5, 6, okay, 7. Just to cue you in, Ravanan, what is the installed base of News Hunt?
As we speak, we are at 110 million installed base.
110 million Indians? 110 million Indians are using News Hunt. Okay? Do you realize something? This is content economy. This guy does not have journalists, does not have editors, does not have a printing plant, does not buy paper, does not get into problems with the government. He simply picks up all the content from all the publishers, puts it together in a nice little portly, calls it News Hunt, and according to me is saving the environment by saving us from a lot of trees being cut. And we get news from across wherever we are in whatever part of the world. 110 million. What is the largest circulation newspaper in India? Would you know?
I think Times of India.
Okay, Times of India, you're probably 10 to 1. Okay. And nobody knows that they're 10 times the outreach of TOI. And the best part is they're not even shaping opinion. They are just running a content economy. This is just one stunning example of what is this economy all about. So I hope you've got clued into Ramanan's thing. Now, what they've done to News Hunt, the app, is that they're bringing in ebooks at a fantastic price point, which I'll let him explain to you, and how you can get ebooks on your phone bought by people who don't even own a credit card. So the real game here is how they brought in a wallet system of sorts working with the telecom companies to be able to pay directly from your bill. Okay, so you get the idea. Now we come to Rashmi on my right. I'm sure all of you know the great celebrity in Rashmi Bansal. Yes? How many of you know Rashmi Bansal? Look at that. Yep. Rashmi Bansal is a writer, entrepreneur, youth expert. She is the author of 7 best-selling books on entrepreneurship, which have sold more than 1 million copies and been translated into 10 languages. Her challenge is India has more than 540 million people under the age of 35. Despite writing 7 books in 10 languages, she sold more than just 1 million copies, right? She is now exploring new ideas in how she could outreach and touch out and reach out to I don't know how many tens of millions amongst those people. She's also the founder of Bloody Good Book, so it's bloodygoodbook.com, a platform to discover and e-publish budding authors. So you see, she's not just an entrepreneur who talks the talk, she also walks the talk. Earlier in her career, Rashmi co-founded Jam, just another magazine, which went on to become India's most popular youth magazine. All right. Now imagine this, in the earlier days, content was all about the container, which was a magazine or a newspaper. Today, we're discarding the container and saying, here's the content, just pay for the content. Rashmi is an economics graduate from Sophia College, Mumbai, and an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, and is an avid reader and loves books, as I can understand. Okay, Akash Gehani, How many of you have heard of Instamojo? All right, by next year, all your hands will be waving with glee and getting autographs of Akash. What is it that this young fella is doing? He's part of the startup ecosystem in India. He's the co-founder of Instamojo.com, okay, which is a platform that enables artists and businesses alike to simply sell their products online. You've got content, you've got recipe, you've got a course to teach, you've got a book to sell, you've got music to sell, you've got photographs to sell, you've got a story to tell, you've got an article to tell. I don't know what you've got, you wouldn't even know. And you don't know anything about computers or anything like that, go to instamojo.com, sign up, start selling in like 2 minutes and 35 seconds, inclusive of getting yourself a cup of tea. Something like that?
Yep.
All right, there you are. He has an engineering and MBA background and likes to travel, read and indulge in philosophical conversations, which is why he's probably at JLF, whenever he can afford time. So you see, here are the great people in the content business. Durga is not here. Priyanka. All right, how many of you know of Full Circle? Oh, lovely, isn't it? How many of you have been to the Full Circle cafes? Nice, isn't it? All right. So, this creative person behind this is Priyanka Malhotra. She heads Full Circle Publishing. She is an alumnus of the London College of Printing, which means ink runs in her blood, and the London School of Economics. She took charge of the family business at a very young age, which I wonder is what, because she's still looking very young. Her passion lies in publishing quality literary fiction while managing Full Circle's steady growth. Having worked closely with French authors, where am I? Yeah, she has a vision of bringing the best of French literature, culture and creativity to India, as well as to take the best of India's talents to France. Her latest project is bringing children's content to readers in India and abroad through Full Circle's children imprint Tota Books. Tota Books, that's a funny name. She also heads the Full Circle bookstore and cafe, Turtle in Delhi. So you'll often find me, by the way, hanging out there. I'm a big fan of the cafe and the carrot cake. I think that's delicious. Each renowned for the eclectic and thoughtfully curated range of books and music in spaces that encourage its patrons to spend time, linger and to take a break in the peaceful oasis. So, you know, Priyanka is going to tell you how it's a David and Goliath. There is Amazon, the big 900-pound gorilla. There is Priyanka. What is it that Priyanka can give each one of you in this room, in this hall, which Amazon cannot, is her content. And I'll let her cue you in on that when I do. Let me do the introductions again. And finally, I have a very interesting man, and I'm a big fan of his. I think if I were a girl, I'd get his name tattooed on my chest, but thankfully not. So Kovid is a particle physicist. He's a brilliant guy from Caltech. He's the founder of Calibre. Have you heard of Calibre software, people? How many of you have heard of Calibre? Okay. So Calibre is a one-stop solution for ebooks with over 3 million active users worldwide. In the olden days, you had to set up a printing plant to get a book out. This guy made a software out of his personal itch, his personal scratch. Okay, it was not even his real thing. He made a software which has gone global and is actually creating a revolution like what MP3 did to music. His software is doing to not books, to ebooks. And he has an interesting story to tell. So, let's start with Ravanan. Ravanan, in your own terms, what do you understand of the content economy, and what is the revolution that you see and the vision you see that you can bring into publishing into the lives of people through your two platforms, Daily Hunt and your iPay?
Okay, thanks.
Louder.
Again, can I?
Yeah.
Okay, am I audible?
Yeah.
The disadvantages of being next to the moderators, you get to answer the first question. But yes, I think he's set the context right on what the content economy is. The way we at Daily Hunt see is we're trying to kind of, we're basically technology people. Like you said, we don't have authors, we're not publishers, we don't do printing. But we kind of trying to roll out a platform which would kind of join both sides of the spectrum, the content creators and the content consumers, right? And for the content creators, I think the USP, the point we're trying to bring on board is that we would, just to give context, we are in the Indian language space, right? Unlike English, the predominant content that exists today in Indian language is not in any digital form. And with the advent of smartphones and data-enabled devices, we see most of the consumption moving towards happening on smartphones, right? And with that data point, none of this content in Indian language exists in any digital form or in any mobile or device-friendly formats, right? And so that is a large challenge that the industry is facing. So instead of waiting for the ecosystem evolve, we've kind of taken the problem on ourselves. So for the distribution side of it or the publishing side of the business, we invest in digitizing it and also give them a platform to sell content, right? And that's where this entire content economy piece kicks in, right? Our platform is kind of a marketplace where you bring on your content, make it digital, consumer friendly, and get to sell it. On the consumer side, we're making it accessible because we believe mobile is where most of the consumption is being spent and consumption happening right now. And that is one convergent device that's going to override any other device that is going to be used by any consumer, right? And
tell us about numbers, if I may.
Numbers, right? So yeah.
So how many books do you have?
So as we speak, we have close to 150,000 books.
How many?
150,000.
150,000 titles, not bad. In how many languages?
Across 10 languages.
There you are.
Yeah, yeah.
And the publishing industry does not even know about Daily Hunt and Verse, right? This is fascinating, isn't it?
Yes. So
this is the content economy at work. And
absolutely.
what kind of sales or what kind of installed base of?
Yeah. So we believe we're just still scratching at the surface in terms of the numbers we're doing. So we have close to 1,600 publishers on board.
Wow.
So why you would not see too many people raising their hands here is our focus is predominantly on Indian language content. So we've focused on Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada,
right,
Bangla, Gujarati, Marathi, right, so to say. Obviously we're there in English, but then predominantly we're looking at Indian language. So we also have English publishers like HarperCollins and Jaipur, Harlequin and all that, but the focus being on Indian language. When I meant scratching on the surface is, the last 18 months we've kind of had 30 million downloads of books, of which 7 million are paid downloads. Now that's why the entire economy piece kicks in. So how
7 million paid downloads in India,
right,
and people would not think that they would buy any book. This
absolutely
is disruption to disruption. No brick, no mortar, no bookshop,
absolutely,
no retail brand presence of any kind. Right, this is fascinating. And as he keeps saying, look carefully, he's saying we've not even scratched the surface.
absolutely.
Karen?
Right. So one major disruption in the market was how do we get people to pay for it? We had launched News Hunt probably some 6-7 years back with the idea of providing Indian language newspaper content, and we kind of busted a myth of the fact that people don't come and read on the phone. So the last count we have 3 billion page views a month. That's a sizable number of people coming and reading news on that, right? So with so many people coming and reading on the phone, we believe the kind of 7 million downloads we had is very small. What led to this kind of number is the fact that in India not many have access to a credit card, debit card or a net banking account. The penetration is far too low, and if you had to really get people to buy your books from a publisher's point of view, you need to have a payment gateway which is very, very, I would say, prevalent or very easy to get into. There's no entry barriers there. So we went and focused on trying to enable this payment through your mobile bill. So the easy part is the customer likes the book, buys it and pays for it through his mobile postpaid bill or prepaid bill.
And tell them about the price points of your book.
Yeah. So the other entry barrier was trying to get people to pay an amount of more than 100 rupees to read on a mobile phone. right? People actually have that kind of barrier of commitment of money and time to reading on the phone. So that's the reason we kind of went into micro billing, right? We've sized down content by chapters, by articles, right? And we've also done a fair amount of discounting to get people to adopt to this mode of the medium of reading on the phones. So we have books available from rupee 1 to
Brilliant.
9,000 rupees.
Now
Right?
that's a
That's the entire
revolution in
spectrum,
India.
yeah.
You don't even get parking in Delhi for $1
You
anymore,
don't. You don't.
right?
I guess you don't get anything for 1 rupee now.
You don't get one. You don't even get a banana peel for one.
Yeah, you don't get.
And you're getting a great book for $1. And I've seen lots of people, especially in regional towns,
Yes.
who will not understand how to get onto the .com era, Amazon properties or something, saying that sitting in a small corner, I can do this.
Yeah, it stands.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
so
1 rupee to 100 rupees.
1,000 rupees actually.
1,000 rupees. Wow. Fascinating. And you just started.
Yeah.
Now, what about your reach worldwide?
So we right now focusing on India, and we believe it's fairly large enough a problem to solve right now than looking outside India. But we do have a lot of diaspora outside India which consumes the content. 30% of Malayalam content is consumed out of India.
All right,
So
there you
to
are.
some extent it's international.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to push towards Rashmi now. Now, Rashmi is on the other end of the spectrum, of course. She's a celebrity author, she's got ideas, she's got the ability to touch and transform the lives and hearts of millions of young people. That's her vision and mission in life, which she does so playfully and so beautifully. Rashmi, you shared with me that you are looking at how to move forward into the content economy by coming up with new ideas. In fact, why don't you just share it straight on?
Okay. Yeah, I just want to first just briefly talk to you about a very fundamental issue in India, which is that most of us think content is free. It should be free. And this is not something today because of internet, but traditionally, even as a publisher of a magazine, when I produced Jam magazine, my cost was 20 rupees. I used to sell it for 5 rupees, later maximum 10 rupees. The rest was subsidized by advertising. So always, whether it's television content or it's print content in newspapers and magazines in India, we've never paid the full price. So especially with coming of the internet, we want everything to be free. And it's great that we have platforms like Daily Hunt. One of my books, I just want to share this story that, when Arvind Kejriwal became the Chief Minister of Delhi for the first time in 2013, in one of my previous books, I had featured him as a chapter. So we pulled out that one chapter, we sold it on Daily Hunt, and I think we sold 5,000 copies in 1 week, which is more than many books sell in an entire year.
Wow.
So it was a
That's
really
awesome.
experience, but I wish that was, a lot of it was driven by topicality and need and interests of people. So we do need distribution pipelines like Daily Hunt. But for me as a professional content creator, now I'm competing with everybody out there who's got free content. You're creating it. I'm competing with your time and attention. So for people like me who professionally create content and we need to make a living out of it and have a business model and revenue stream, of course we are working with the traditional avenues, like we still sell in bookshops, we sell online through Amazon or through other platforms like Daily Hunt. But I feel as the author that I should myself have a direct pipeline to my readers. Because a lot of people come to me and say like, we didn't even know your last book came out. Like, why don't you inform us? And I don't know how to inform everyone out there. Because today, even to post it on Facebook, I have to now pay Facebook money so that it boosts my, post and it actually reaches the 60,000 people who like my page. So I don't necessarily want to do that. So I was just thinking that, in the past we used to have different business models like subscription, like people subscribe to magazines. We had book clubs where people actually paid a yearly fee and they became part of a book club. So I'm just thinking of experimenting with these ideas and maybe starting a Rashmi Bansal book club where, you subscribe for a year, you pay me 1,500 rupees, you get 3 copies of my book signed by me, and you will get 2 forthcoming books. You'll get the ebook versions free. So certain, packages like a silver, gold, and like even maybe a platinum package where I charge you more money. But then when I come to Jaipur next time, I'll have a dinner with you. You'll get to meet me. I mean, I'm forced to do these things because I just can't sit in at my desk and keep writing books and hope that my publisher is going to sell them magically. I mean, they do a great job, but today the traditional ways of selling are shrinking, the bookshops are contracting. So you have to think of new ways to do things. The other thing I want to do is, I'm actually building a mobile application. It's very easy to build an app, but why should anyone use your app? So what I thought is that maybe I can release new stories on the app. So of course, a lot of this is for people who are really my fans and who are very keen to follow my work. But maybe if it works, it can be taken forward in different ways. Maybe I start recommending books by other authors and other things that can help people. So maybe it's just like this entrepreneurship itch in me. But I do think that each of us will have to work out ways to make it a business, because of course there are platforms available. Each of us can create content, and some of us maybe get that level where we're 1 million views on YouTube. But for those of us who are professionally involved in creating content, we'll have to generate new streams of revenue and new ways of going forward.
If I may interrupt, so what Rashmi is saying, mic is gone off. Mic's off, it's on. Yeah. So if I may interrupt, what Rashmi is saying is that she's going to choose the path of concurrent media, of every kind of media, knock on every door, every container to go out, because what she's got is content. And she is hoping in the future that she need not spend the money and expenditure on containers, where you will directly buy content from her, and it may no longer be a book. Can you imagine a future where Rashmi Bansal's words touch 100 million Indians without being in a book, and she got paid for it? And that's her dream, isn't it? Mere muh mein ghee and shakar. What is she trying, all right? So, okay, thank you so much. So now I'm taking over to Akash. I want you to understand something. When we're talking about content economies, what happens is that we're often talking about just books and things that traditional media know. Well, whatever is in Flipkart and Amazon is also content, isn't it? All the shoes and mobile phones and stuff that you want to buy. And here's our man Akash. Akash, over to you. Numbers, growth, stuff that you do, the kind of businesses that you see grow, emerge, and mums and pop stores that you set up.
So to start off with, for us at InstaMojo, the starting point was that one of our founders, he used to take videos. So he used to travel, meet entrepreneurs, and just do small interviews of them, and he put those videos on his blog. And what we saw is his blog used to get a lot of traffic. People used to come and watch those videos, and then he thought, can we monetize this? Like there is a lot of interest for this content which I'm creating. Is there a way I can monetize this? Let's test out if people want to pay for it. So we started searching for a platform, and we found nothing. There was no place which could let you collect money for it, which is what the seed idea for InstaMojo, right? That's how we came up. So that's why InstaMojo started as a simple platform where if you're an author, you upload your ebooks. If you make videos, how to say you're a cook, right? So upload recipes, maybe videos of them, maybe text versions of them, and see if people want to pay you for it. The fundamental shift which has happened is, as Niyam also pointed out earlier, today the power has shifted to all of us. All of you out there are creators of content some way or the other. And as Indians, we like to believe that we are smart, we have an expert take on everything. All of us are stock market experts in some way or the other. All of us have a take on many other things. So the lot of things that we keep coming up with, we need to have a side business of sorts always. This again, every guy over here would be thinking, I'm making money, I have a job. Can I make money out of something else? Can I do something? So there is this content creator part which is hidden in all of us somewhere.
Right.
So we thought, is there a way that I can help you make money for that? And honestly, going forward, it's not always about money, right? The currency is also attention. What you really are is craving for attention from someone. So you're making music, you want 100 people out there to be listening to you. If 100 people listen to you, 10 of them will come and automatically donate some money to you if they like you. Simple as that. So in that sense, there's this new kind of content economy which is emerging because of all the social platforms, all the tech, the computers we're carrying in our pockets, because of all of that, right? So it's easy to come up with something. I won't say it's easy to come up with something of great value, yes, quality
But
is still
Akash, I wanted you
difficult.
to tell me figures, like how many people are there on your platform, how many are publishers, and what are the tractions?
So as such, in terms of power, 60,000 plus businesses. But if I just look at
60,000 plus, not bad.
But if I just look at, the real, I mean, in the stricter sense of content that, we've been talking about here,
True.
we have about maybe 50 odd music bands. We have
50 music bands.
we have a dozen odd, small publishers.
Publishers.
At least 100 plus, content creators in the education space. People who create content for, all
Courseware.
sorts of exams.
Yes, Courseware.
And again,
Okay.
India is a land of exams, right? We have aspirations to study and do well. So many of those.
And what's the
Financial
growth
advisors,
you see?
all of them.
What is the growth you see over time?
So the growth that we have been seeing is, well, we've been growing about, say, in the last 1 year, we've grown about 1200%, like basically 12 times of what we are doing a year back, which was the same the year prior to that. And a big chunk of it is coming from these independent content creators, which earlier did not have a platform to monetize what they were
We'll have
doing.
to cut this and move forward, but we get the game, and I'm very proud of what you're doing from India. A round of applause for the kind of work they're doing, please. All right. Now, Priyanka, Amazon. Priyanka, Amazon. How do you take them on? What is it that you have at Full Circle that you can give to people that they cannot get from Amazon and the online experience?
Thank you.
Love.
I think as a brick and mortar store, what we are offering people who are coming in is experience, and that experience is our content. The same book is available online, it's on Flipkart, it's on Amazon, it's on 30% off, and the same book is also available at our bookshop. So when you walk in, you're walking in not just for a transaction, come in, buy the book and leave, but you're walking in for an experience.
Yes, after.
You walk into a bookstore, you can smell the paper. We have a coffee shop, so there's the aroma of coffee wafting through. We have staff that know about their books. They remember you, they remember what you bought last time, and they are not relying on an automated algorithm that Amazon saying that you bought this and you will like this, but they know your tastes. And I think that's what we are really trying to offer.
True.
And and the fact that we're all here today at this festival, when we could have stayed home and watched it behind our laptops
Yeah.
or
fact,
our iPads.
if I may interrupt, how many of you bought books today from the Full Circle store here? All right, you could have bought those books online as well. And that's what she's selling, not the fact that you own the book, but that content is experience, that experience is content too. And content can be experienced too, it's vice versa, it's brilliant. And this is fantastic because you can see that it's an augmented world. And in fact, it's a question of scale. She can open Full Circle stores across India, right? It's just a question of scale. So if I may just move forward to Kovid. Kovid, you all share with us numbers on how your ebook game started and where is it now and what traction you gained.
Okay, well, I started Caliber, which is an ebook management.
Loud, can you hear him?
Can you hear me?
No.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's on.
Right. Okay, I started Caliber, which is an ebook management platform, when I was a grad student at Caltech. It was just a personal project, it was a hobby. I myself used to read a lot of ebooks. This was way back in 2006. And as a lark, I posted it up on the internet and I shared it with other people, and it took off. In fact, in the peak ebook growth period, which was around 2010 to 2012, in the US and UK markets, Caliber usage was doubling every 6 months. The growth has since slowed down a bit, but it's still going strong, and we have 3.5 million active users. And Caliber allows content creators like you to easily create ebooks with minimal effort and distribute them on all the various distribution platforms that you're hearing about from my fellow panelists.
Okay, so what he's saying is that if you can make a document in Microsoft Word, you can convert it into ebook for free and sell it or share it and do what you like with it, and the software is free too, which is brilliant. Every publisher I have consulted with in the last 4-5 years all use Caliber. It's like, did you know everybody has Microsoft Word, Adobe software, and Calibre. And these guys come from nowhere. It's fascinating. And he's just sitting there grinning and chuckling away all the time, you know. I think that's a big revolution. So I hope you got the idea. Now, open to you guys to question to the remaining 4. Ravanan had to run back to Lanka. Do you have any questions?
I would suggest that we have club questions, so we have 3 questions at a time. Maybe.
3 questions at a time. Anybody? Are you still awake? Yes, we have some questions here. To the people.
Okay, for the content platforms, what kind of efforts are made to ascertain the quality of content? For instance, the previous session was all about a good writer going to a good agent and then moving to a publisher. So there was a certain degree of qualification of the content happening. Whereas on the internet, the big experience for people like me is that there is a lot of junk, there's a lot of motivated content, there's a lot of things which I would never want to touch. So what is the challenge before this industry, which is the content industry, where there are no filters?
True. So,
can we have another question
yes,
first?
My question is to Instamojo specifically, but also, you know, to everybody in the, I guess, in the content developing space. How do you peg yourself against platforms like YouTube, you know, which are obviously free, and a lot of times you do find good content. I mean, like top musicians or, you know, any of the others, recipes, you name it, out there as well, because they don't want to be missed being seen on YouTube. So that's unpaid content. So how do you find yourselves addressing that challenge?
very good. And third question as well?
Yes, one third
There's
question.
one there.
So, looking at the content economy and the space that it is evolving in the internet space, my only concern is, do you see readers having a really short attention span these days? And being an author, Rashmi, you and others, how do you deal with it? Because people these days, especially those who read, have very short attention span, and giving them something that is really quick and easy to understand and consume is something that I feel is the biggest challenge these days, and especially with internet.
All right, great. 3 questions. Yes. So, the first one, YouTube versus Instamojo.
Yeah, so I don't see...
Mike.
Yeah, better?
Yeah.
So, I don't see how YouTube is in any way, or Instagram in any way competing with YouTube. The way I see it, YouTube is a great marketing channel, a place where you so put up your videos, you build an audience over there, and once you have a decent following, you put up something of great quality. That's where Instamojo steps in, helps you monetize that. So the two go hand in hand. Yeah, I hope that answers, you know, what I'm trying to say, right? It's basically, one is where you help build an audience, one is you monetize the audience which you've built up using YouTube or Instagram or any of the other channels at that.
So they're actually using YouTube to further their cause, you know, they're not competing. The internet is a very funny place, you know, as you'll soon discover, in a strange place. All right, Rashmi, attention spans, I forgot, that was the question? I mean, that's a joke, right? Okay.
Well, I have...
Mike, yeah. Mike.
Well, unwittingly, I myself pioneered this format where in one book I write 20 stories. Instead of writing the, you know, inspiring life story of one person, I wrote 20 of them, and I figured that this actually works in the current scenario where nobody has enough time to maybe want to read one person's story in detail, but they get 20 of them. But you're right, I mean, it's getting shorter and shorter, but I don't know how much we have to be driven by that. I think if something is great, if it's, you know, it's engaging, it's interesting, it's still going to work. So you have to keep it in mind that attention span is short, but you can't cater to it all the time, because if you need little more time or little more words to make your point, and you can make it forcefully and beautifully, people will still read it or watch it. That's what I feel.
Okay, so now that question on shoddy content, right, on the internet. Well, the internet is world famous for quantity, not quality, right? So who would like, I think I would like you to talk about it, how shoddy stuff becomes great through what method?
So I myself released software as
There you
a
are.
nobody, as somebody who, was a grad student. It is not my specialty. So you could arguably say that what I first released was junk. And I didn't market it. I didn't do anything to make it popular. But somehow, through some magic that I don't understand fully myself, the internet as a whole, helped me make my software successful. It made it popular through word of mouth. It grew organically. So I firmly believe personally that if you create good content and you have a bit of luck in your timing, in your positioning, I think that the internet acts as a filter. So the internet itself, the wisdom of crowds, it acts as a filter and it surfaces good content from the dross by a sort of magical process.
So on that happy note, I'm very sorry we have to pull this down. Thank you so much for your time and everybody, and let's see you next year and talking more about the content economy. Thank you.